Hello, Kidney Warriors! James here from Dadvice TV, your online kidney health coach, and this is another episode of Dadvice TV. As a matter of fact, it is April 23rd, 2024, and we have a great session tonight where we are going to answer your questions with my co-host who knows everything practically you want to know about eating a great kidney diet to help manage your kidney disease, manage your symptoms, do what you can to slow that progression of kidney disease. Now, for those of you that are brand new, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is James Fabian. It has been 5.5 years approximately since I was diagnosed with kidney failure. And look at me now. I'm doing great. I feel fantastic, full of energy. Never did dialysis, but I got my blood pressure under control, and I found out the true secret to living great with kidney disease: eating right. And the one person that can help you eat right is a renal dietitian. And I strongly encourage everyone out there to work with one. And if you can't find a renal dietitian, work with the dietitian that your doctor recommends for you. Hey there, Shane. Hello, Sandy. Great to have you back again. Good to see you. Well, let me bring on my co-host and everyone out there. Let's go ahead, enter in your questions here. We're going to try to get to as many of them as we can over the next half hour. Please welcome the one, the only, from the amazing Facebook group and website, plantpoweredkidneys.com, renal dietitian, Jen Hernandez. Hey, Jen.
Hi, James. Hi, everybody. Happy spring. Happy April, end of April already. I can't believe we are this far into 2024 already, but I am so excited to be on here for another Q&A session with you all today to focus on nutrition related to kidney health. Now, if you have never met me, my name is Jen Hernandez. I am a renal dietitian. I have really up in the camera here my credentials, my certifications as a registered dietitian and board certified, there we go, in renal nutrition. And that is what I have spent the majority of my almost 10 years as a dietitian doing, is working with people with chronic kidney disease, whether it was in dialysis or in early stages of kidney disease. There's always an opportunity to address nutrition. There's always a solution around the corner for nutrition and food. And that's what I love doing and helping with my clients and my students every day at Plant Powered Kidneys. So you can definitely check out all of our information at plantpoweredkidneys.com. And actually, tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern, I will be teaching a free chronometer class, which is something that James and I both talk about a lot when it comes to taking care of your kidneys, right? And taking care of nutrition. Chronometer is actually a food journal for anybody, but there are some really great tools that you can use that are specific and really great with chronometer. So I'm going to be teaching this class free tomorrow, and James has the link there for you if you want to register for this class. Totally free. It'll be about an hour long. We're going to cover a ton. And I'm very thrilled to be teaching it again. I taught it last month and it was very well received. So I'm going to do it again this month. So
awesome. And there's a link to this in the description too, in case you couldn't write it down on the screen, because it's odd. We can't click on those links on the screen. I wish we could. But it's down below in the description. And I'll tell you, you guys all know I track what I eat on my phone, and this app is so easy to use, and it has so many options, and it is fantastic. Get a free class from it tomorrow at noon. Link in the description. All right, we've got the questions already rolling in. I'm going to start with this one right here that just came in a few seconds ago from Debbie. She's asking, is there a charge for a dietitian? And if so, does insurance cover it?
Yeah, well, as my career, there needs to be a charge for a dietitian, as this is my job and my work, and I'm fortunate to say I love what I do. But yes, dietitians, there are fees associated with us. There can be different fees ranging from about maybe $100 an hour to several $100s an hour, depending on the dietitian, their experience, their credentials. There's a lot of factors involved there. There are oftentimes insurance coverage for dietitian sessions. So, usually, the best way to go about doing this is to talk with your insurance company. You can call the customer or the client number on the back of your insurance card, and you can ask them what dietitians are in network, how many sessions do I get per year, or is it in a lifetime for seeing a dietitian? Do I need a doctor to refer me to a dietitian, or can I just go directly to a dietitian? They can definitely help you and give you some guidance there if you want to find a dietitian within your network. Just so you know, not every dietitian takes insurance. Like myself, for example, I don't take insurance. It's out of pocket for plant-powered kidneys, but we do provide a little bit more above and beyond compared to your typical insurance coverage session. So, for example, if you see a doctor under your insurance, you go in, you have about a 15-minute talk with them, and then you leave, and then you don't talk with them until your next session or your next meeting or appointment in about 3 to 6 months. For my clients, though, we have an hour and a half at first session, and then we're texting and talking very routinely as I'm around and available to answer their questions that pop up in between sessions. And then our follow-up sessions are anywhere from 45 minutes to about an hour long, and they're about every other week or so. So it's a pretty intensive, we cover a lot of information, a lot of details, but the fortunate thing is that I work really hard with my patients so that we do not have to be working together for ever and ever. In fact, today I just graduated another client of mine who's been doing fantastic. And so that's a really wonderful thing to be able to do, is teach and help them learn and grow and move into the next phase of their life where they feel really confident with their renal diet. So that was a very long answer to give for that, but just know that there are so many that are available. It's just really a matter of what works best for you, your lifestyle, your preferences, and your situation, of course.
Yep. And are you taking new clients?
Right now I'm booked for the next 2 to 3 months. Right now, I'm fully booked. But if you sign up to be on our email list, if you get our free meal plan that way, we do send out monthly notifications for myself and all of our dietitians. So anyone who's interested in working with us, they get first dibs on our calendars and our schedules.
Perfect. And I'll remind, or I'll share my experience with a dietitian. When I was in the ICU, my first experience wasn't good, but I learned that the dietitian has like 30 seconds to look at my chart and figure out what to say to me in the next 60 seconds before they're off to their next one. But when I actually got a referral, and my primary care physician was great at knowing how to code things, I was at risk of diabetes. So like, hey, I can get you a few sessions coding it as this, go talk to the dietitian. When I spoke to them, that first meeting was a lot of, what do you like? What do you usually eat? What do you think of this? And then she started building me out a plan and teaching me how to eat, food and not be afraid of it. So you really get a lot of skills when you work with a dietitian. It's not like your doctor. You keep going in, you get your labs, you look at the numbers. You are getting taught how to eat, how to pick food, how to shop, how to prepare meals. And I don't see a dietitian as much now. It's just if I, a lot of times I'll find one and say, hey, I got this YouTube channel, and they'll invite me in and they'll give me some free advice, which is great. It's like I learned from them. But when I had one that I saw regularly in the beginning, it changed everything for me. I went from being afraid and starving to now I feel like I can go anywhere. I can go with coworkers to any restaurant and I can pick something that fits me. And, if I'm worried about, I think this place uses a lot of sodium, I know what to pick off the menu to eat, still enjoy the event, be with my friends, have a good time, and not feel like I'm suffering. So I encourage everyone to work with a dietitian. Here's a question from Dee's Sweet Chaos. He or she asks, how much protein do you typically try to stay under for a person who's stage 3B? We get a lot of questions about protein.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, protein is a really big topic in the CKD world for the past couple years, ever since some of the guidelines came out to support a lower protein diet. So stage 3B and 3A, this is like that moderate stage CKD area where there's still a pretty good amount of kidney function that's still remaining, but we also don't want to do anything to aggravate it and push it into stage 4 or stage 5. And protein is actually one of those things that if we take care of it appropriately, if we monitor our protein, make sure that we're getting enough but not too much, that can be really supportive. So for these earlier stages, in general, it can range anywhere from like 0.6 grams per kilogram to about 0.8 grams per kilogram, sometimes a little bit higher depending on other health issues that a person might have. It could still be okay to be a little bit above that as well. And the other caveat, the other thing I want to add into that is the source of the protein does matter. And so plant proteins are shown to be more protective and not as hard on the kidneys, on the body, as animal proteins. So even if you don't want to switch totally away from an animal protein diet, which is totally fine to include some animal proteins in the diet, adding some plant proteins and doing some of those like meatless Mondays, or finding a way to do some swaps from your meals from time to time into plant protein sources like tofu and tempeh and edamame, beans, whole grains, legumes. All of these kinds of proteins are really helpful. They provide a lot of other nutrients that also support not just our kidney health, but overall our health. And so that's kind of the area that we start to look at, but it's really, really important to talk with your doctor, ideally talk with your dietitian about your protein needs, because if you go under, and this is where some people do have concerns, and again, it's understandable, rightfully so, that with a lower protein diet, there's a higher risk of malnutrition. There's a higher risk of a person not getting enough, and that can cause problems, which is why it's really important to work with a dietitian or really just arm yourself with a lot of knowledge with a good healthcare team so that you feel really well supported when you're doing something that has a lower protein diet. So definitely some caution there. We do have a really comprehensive blog article about low protein diet on plantpoweredkidneys.com. Definitely check that out. It would be, if I read through that, it would take up the entire call tonight. So make sure you take advantage of some of those articles and information we have on there, because we definitely cover a lot of information like a low protein diet and also keto analogs, which is another whole different aspect when it comes to a very low protein diet.
Very good. Yeah, tons of great information on the blog on plantpoweredkidneys.com. And we've done so many videos over the years from a lot of those blog articles. So definitely go check those out. And did we mention the Facebook group earlier, Jen? I can't remember.
I think you had brought it up, but the Facebook group is definitely another good resource for those that have more questions. We do a weekly Q&A in there as well. And so you can post your questions and comments in there, and you're also getting more insight from other peers. You're getting insight from other CKD patients that are going through similar, not the same. No one is ever going through the same situation, but similar experiences, and really ultimately just support. And that's like one of the best things, I think, is a lot of positivity and support. I have our Facebook group up on the side here. One of our students, one of our participants in the group said, "I'm now 22 days post kidney transplant from a living donor." And she says she's going to leave the group, which I'm sad about, but I'm very, very proud of her. I know she's put a lot of hard work in. So again, a lot of positivity, a lot of optimism. So if you're looking for something, another supportive group, definitely our Facebook group is a place to be.
Yep. And outside of all the positivity, my favorite thing about the group is people make their meals and they take pictures and share them and give advice. Hey, I was making this and I replaced this with this, and I tried this combination. It was great. Here's the dressing that I used on this salad. So many great ideas to help you expand your menus of what you're making. And I always find that so helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to have different ideas. And sometimes they're ideas and inspiration that you never would have thought of otherwise because we all have different backgrounds and different food preferences and sometimes even access to different kinds of food. So it's really cool to see other places around the world, honestly, that share some of their own food choices and preferences and what they can make.
Yeah, and you have opened my eyes up to so many different things that I love. And let me tell you, okay, we've been doing this for so many years. I still have not properly cooked mushrooms to try them. The big portobello ones.
Oh,
One day I will. Maybe this summer I'll do that.
yeah. I think oh, grilling mushrooms. I was just talking with a client about that today. Grilling vegetables is absolutely fantastic. And those
Oh, vegetables
mushrooms,
I love.
yeah, those like those portobello mushrooms, you can do so many great things. You can make a nice portobello mushroom burger on the grill. Oh, it's so good. I should have had
Okay,
dinner before this call.
so I'm gonna reach over here. I just bought this food thingy that lets me cut
Oh,
up
wait.
vegetables and stuff like that. And I can
Mhm.
even take zucchini and cut it into a strip and use it as a wrap.
Yes,
Instead of
absolutely.
using like bread or something like that to make like a sub sandwich, I can use zucchini. And I haven't opened it yet. I bought it and I bought all these containers and stuff. So I'm like, hey, I'm really going to get into I got to lose weight and I'm being more active. I was like, yeah. And I got that. And I'm looking forward to trying a lot of new things. All
Oh,
right,
yeah.
let me jump back over to the questions. Here's one I see a lot, especially in some of those other kidney groups that kind of promote their recommendations. Jennifer says, "Hello, I'm just starting to read that I should drink alkaline water. Her GFR is 20. What are your thoughts on alkaline water?"
So they do a really great job at marketing, don't they? I mean,
Oh yeah.
they better be paying those guys some good money because they are really great at selling.
Well, they charge a lot for that water too.
That's true. That's true. It is really expensive compared to just like a normal, like non-alkaline bottle of water. But let me just tell you that that's really all there is behind it is it's really great marketing. There is no research to say that alkaline water does anything for kidney health. In fact, if you were to drink alkaline water, specifically like with your meals, your body is creating stomach acid, and that stomach acid is trying to break down and digest your food. And drinking something that is more alkaline could potentially be neutralizing what your body is trying to accomplish. So it's not something that I ever have recommended. In fact, I just like aiming for more fruits and vegetables in a person's diet. That is how we can help a more sustainable and enjoyable alkaline environment because overall that's getting into the blood alkalinity and not being neutralized in our digestive system, not being neutralized from the beginning. So having something like alkaline water is not going to be a solution. I am willing to keep an open mind in the future if research is done and proves that it can be helpful, specifically for kidney health and looking at that alkalinity. But there's nothing that I have seen related to research to prove that that is actually evidence based. It is a lot of marketing.
Yeah, and I am such a nerd. I've done so much research on what is the best water, and the best water is the clean water that's available to you. I use tap water. I add some stuff in it. This I blended in a couple black cherries. They're frozen. Gives a little flavor because plain water I kind of only like if it's super cold. I'll add some lemon. I'll throw some cucumbers. Cucumbers don't add too much flavor. Honeydew, things like that, add it. So much you can do with just regular water. But I've done my own research, and water is water. The other ones, for the most part, they just cost more. And it pretty much like the same thing with salt. There are microscopic differences between the salts, but in the real world, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Find you a salt you like to do, and it's okay to use salt reasonably at home. We
Mhm.
get too much sodium. It's usually at a drive-through window or a restaurant or in the processed food. So I wouldn't worry if you're out there. Which water? If you've got good, safe tap water, there's a great source for you.
Mm-hmm.
All
Absolutely.
right. Jay Hillard, she asks, what can be done to decrease creatinine? Now, as a kidney patient, I want to chime in a little bit here. We look at, when we're diagnosed, we look at our labs and we're like, oh, they measure creatinine. Creatinine must be bad. Creatinine is not bad. It is generated by your muscles. When your eyes blink, when your heart beats, when you breathe, uh, when you squeeze out a fart, you're using muscles. Those are all creating creatinine. The more muscle mass you have, the more creatinine you will create. And if you had it, your legs amputated, your doctors would use a different test using a different marker to estimate your kidney function. So I like to encourage everyone, don't chase how do I lower creatinine, but there are things, and I'll let Jen weigh in on this, there are things you can do to kind of reduce the burden, to help your kidneys out so that they can work better. And a benefit may be that your creatinine goes down because you're eating healthier, you got blood pressure under control, but don't try to chase the goal of reducing creatinine. That is the wrong goal to go after. Go after, how can I be more active? How can I eat better? How can I get my blood pressure under control? Those are proven to help you. All right, so Jen, so her full question was, what can she do to lower creatinine? Her blood pressure is good, which is fantastic. Not diabetic, fantastic. She eats mostly plant food and some egg whites. So sounds like she's eating really well.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing right off the bat that I would say, oh, there we go. But I like the way you were talking about how creatinine is a normal waste product from the body. And the way that I explain it oftentimes too is it's kind of like those really elaborate domino setups. They're really fun to watch online when
Yep.
somebody knocks one over and it just like goes through and like knocks all of them over. And what we're doing is we're looking at like that last domino and we're like, what happened? Where we really should be backtracking to the beginning of the domino path and analyzing what happened there, which is that push to knock over all the dominoes. But looking at the very end of it, this is an end factor and it's not going to tell us a ton of information. We want to look at what is causing it. So, one of the best questions to be asking your doctor is, what caused my kidney disease? What happened to my kidneys for them to be damaged to result in this retention, this collection of waste? It's not getting rid of the waste products like it should be getting rid of them. And so, what caused the kidney disease damage to result in that? And so, diabetes and high blood pressure are the most common causes of kidney disease, but there are quite a few other less common, but still out there. There's quite a few other scenarios in which a person can have chronic kidney disease. So, talking with them about what's going on there will give you your starting point of, okay, so if let's say I have lupus or I have polycystic kidney disease or I have IgA nephropathy, whatever's happening here, what can we do with this information to then help protect my kidney health so that it helps eliminate the creatinine better? And a lot of the things, definitely more plants in the diet is really fantastic. And plant or animal proteins, like I mentioned earlier, can be factored into a healthy diet still. We are not vegan kidneys, we are plant powered kidneys. We just promote including more plants in your diet to support kidney health, but it doesn't have to be entirely plant based. So, getting those answers up front will save you a lot of time and stress and give you a lot more areas of opportunity, because then you can build a healthcare team focused around those situations that then support your kidney health. So that's my 2 cents on it. But yeah, don't look at the creatinine, look at the other situations, the other things that are going on that are impacting your kidneys that results in the higher creatinine.
Very good. All right. Eileen asked, how much water is too much water?
Yeah, I've had this conversation, and I feel like as we're going to be getting into the warmer months, people will definitely be thinking more about their fluid balance and getting the right amount of water. So one of the things that you can be looking at is it's a symptom called edema, which is basically swelling, and you may notice it if like your legs get really puffy, they look really swollen. Sometimes hands can be the swollen. Sometimes your face. I've seen patients when we're just doing a video conference call and I see their face is swollen or like under their eyes are swollen. That can be a symptom of too much water and salt that's being held on in the body. And so, if you notice something like this, it's a really good time to talk with your doctor and ideally get a fluid goal set. Everybody, kind of like calories and protein and other nutrition targets, everyone's going to have a different amount to aim for when it comes to fluids, not just water, but coffee, tea, other drinks, soup, like broths, things like that. Liquids are all going to be attributing towards your fluid intake. And so, to start with, if you don't have any diagnoses, including later stages of kidney disease or like congestive heart failure, things that have to do with your fluids and your fluid balance, in general, about half of your weight in ounces. Like if you're 150 pounds, about 75 ounces of fluids per day can be a good jumping off point. But again, it's really important to confirm this amount with your healthcare provider to make sure you're getting the right amount. Because again, if you are in later stages of kidney disease, if your body is not able to regulate that amount of fluid, you could develop that anemia, or not anemia, edema, and that swelling, and that is not good. One of the top leading cause of death for kidney patients is actually heart failure. And
Yeah.
this oftentimes has to do with that fluid balance. So that's really, really important to pay attention to. And that's why we're not talking about just like guzzling a lot of water. So make sure you talk with your doctor, get that ballpark estimate there and review that with them. Make sure you're on the right track, because the last thing you want to do is get that uncomfortable swelling that also increases your blood pressure and just causes a lot of just not good feelings.
Yep. All right. I'm going to try to go quickly because we got just a few minutes
Oh
left.
my gosh.
White rice or brown rice? What's your thoughts?
Yes. Does that an answer? Can that count?
That is the perfect answer. And I prefer the brown because it's got a little more fiber in it. And fiber is
Yeah.
your friend.
It's honestly, they're nutritionally, it's like 1 gram of fiber difference if we're looking at the same amount of white rice and brown rice. If you have potassium or phosphorus concerns, maybe white rice. But again, even the phosphorus from grains is not well absorbed. So even though brown rice does show to be higher in phosphorus, just by the numbers, we're not absorbing that much phosphorus anyway. So the phosphorus is kind of moot. Potassium, maybe, but there's so many other things that we can look at for potassium anyway. For me, it's always about the actual meal. So I actually just got brown rice started for dinner tonight because that's what I had on hand and that was my kind of go-to. But we're going to do like a broccoli stir fry. So I'm thinking, white rice would be really good. Like white rice is classic with a stir fry. And when you're including healthy fats and your vegetables and a little bit of your protein in there, you're having a balanced meal. That's going to help stabilize the blood sugars anyway. Because I know that's another big concern for people. Well, it's the simple carbohydrates, which I get, and that can be a concern. But when you're having it as part of a meal, the rest of the ingredients and the nutrition in your meal will help that out. But if you're looking for if you're looking for like kind of a side-by-side comparison, we did, I think just last week, post on our Facebook and our Instagram pages showing that difference between white and brown rice. So you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram and you can take a look at what we have posted there as well.
Yep. And when you use an app like Chronometer, you learn that it's not this food that can throw your diet off. It's these whole giant meals that you do again and again. So it comes down to portion control. Maybe if you're like, yeah, there's a little too much potassium, we'll have a little bit less of that and cut back a little bit of potassium in whatever you're eating for breakfast. And it all works out at the end of the day when you're using an app to track what you eat. And that kind of opens up the whole world to you. And some of the things that are loaded with stuff you shouldn't have too much of, you're just going to eat less of them, but you can fit them in. All right, another quick question. Thoughts on, now this person says they are 3A, which 3A gives you so much kidney function. You just got to be healthy at 3A. You don't really have to restrict a whole bunch. Eat healthy. For a person at 3A, they're asking about chia seeds or flax seeds. Are those good to add to the diet?
Ooh, that's another yes answer. I love this. So both of them are fantastic. We actually posted yesterday about omega-3 sources, and both chia seeds and flax seeds are a good source of omega-3s, which are really healthy for us, anti-inflammatory, very protective nutritionally. Just make sure your flaxseed is ground flaxseed and not whole flaxseed, because whole flaxseed, our bodies can't break that down. And so it's kind of a waste of money. Make sure it's ground. But chia seeds we can use as a whole, or they can be ground as well. But they're really, really good, very nutritious, nutrient dense. They do provide plant proteins and the omega-3s, as well as some other micronutrients that are really helpful. So a little goes a long way with them too. As seeds, just like a tablespoon or so, they work well with smoothies, salads, oatmeal, even stir fries. Tons of baked goods. You can easily add them into like your baked goods. Chia pudding is such a great snack, or even a meal. Flaxseed pudding, same thing. So they're very, very versatile, great to have on hand, shelf stable. Although the flaxseed you could keep in the freezer or the fridge to help it last longer because of the exposure for the fats and to keep it from going rancid. So that would be one tip I would say. But both of them, yes, absolutely add them into the mix. I was just talking with a client today about doing that for her morning oatmeal to get some more omega-3s in.
Perfect. All right. Well, we are slightly over our time, but someone said, "Hey, James, what was that app you used?" I'm going to post the link right here. There is the name below, Chronometer. And tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern, Jen has a free class showing you how to use it. There is a link below in the description, or if you can write this down, there is a short link right there. But click the link in the description. It'll take you right to where you can register for Jen's class tomorrow. Free, shows you how to use it. All right, Jen, we got to a lot of questions. I want to thank you so much for giving us your time to answer questions, talk about the kidney diet. And as we've all heard, and hopefully you've learned, a dietitian will help you not be afraid of food, not be afraid to eat. They will help open up so much to you, because there is the entire world out there. There's so little that you should not eat. And there's a giant list of things that you can include in your meals, and it just comes down to portion control, not going overboard with some things that you, based on what your doctor and your healthcare team tells you, you need to limit. And just because somebody else limits something doesn't mean you need to limit it. All right, and we got people say, "Hey, I'm going to be there." So glad to hear that. There's Sandy. I appreciate everyone in our audience. Please give this video a thumbs up if you found this information helpful. That helps YouTube recommend this to others so that they can learn how to better manage and live with kidney disease, improve their quality of life, and hopefully help them live longer. And Jen will be back next month for another one of these live Q&As. And then next week on Monday, Dr. Rosansky will be here live talking. I cannot remember what we're talking about. We're talking about something great. He always has lots of good stuff, and answering more of your questions. All right. Thank you so much, Jen. And thank you, everyone out there. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, everyone.